so excited.
It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday, and welcome to Two Guys and a Goalie here at high noon on Edmonton Sports Talk every Tuesday and Thursday. Tell your friends about EST, and they'll say, it's too difficult to listen to. You say, no, you just get iHeartRadio, you get TuneIn, and it's on there with all the other radio stations. You can listen to EdmontonSportsTalk.com. You listen to all the podcasts after the fact, or, of course, you can watch live on YouTube every single day as well. And, boy, we got to start. We got to address the elephant in the room here. EM Storm over on the Nasty Chat says, is it true that Matt Kassian can't stand Joaquin Gage? That's what he said on the postgame show the other day. I thought it was all love and sunshine in Edmonton. Cass, do you get frustrated by Joaquin Gage, your Fantasy One commissioner?
Yeah, well, absolutely, I do. But you know what? Typically, you just don't see it. We present a unified front. And unlike Perry and Kane, Perry and Draisaitl and Kane, and we deal with our laundry in the back room. We deal with it in the back room.
Exactly, so right. That's the last thing we want.
Look like we love each other, but yeah, no, really, me and Gage can't stand each other. We yell at each other all the time. Matty Wanek has actually been talking about building a little cage in the middle of the office so that we can fight. Just to make sure that we don't break any of the TVs or any of the equipment. So, yeah,
Gager, you know I love you, but I don't like your chances stepping into the cage there with Cass.
No, you've never seen me in the Kumite, Dusty.
He knows Krav Maga.
You get me in, you get me in the half pipe there, and I'm Van Damming it. I'm Van Damage in there.
VA in the Nasty Chat says Cass versus Gager at WrestleMania. Make it happen. Oh, I'm sure at some point Edmonton Sports Talk will have some sort of partnership with one of the local wrestling outfits, and we could set that up like at whatever it is. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun actually. Okay, we got lots to get to. Dylan Holloway called up. We'll get to some other things around the National Hockey League. We'll get to brothers fighting. We haven't got both of your guys' take on that one as well. Connor McDavid didn't practice today. He's listed as day to day, according to Coach Knobloch, which is interesting to say McDavid's day to day as opposed to just saying maintenance day at practice. So we'll definitely get into that as we work our way through the show. That's going to totally kill my Art Ross bet at freaking 30-1 over a cool bet. My God, that's going to suck. But we'll get into that. That's obviously big news here as well. But Cass, I do think we have to start with your shirt because I see your shirt today, and all I can think of, and Gager, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you remind me of Larry from Three's Company in that shirt.
Is Cass old enough to remember that show? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm barely old enough to remember that show. Gager, you know what I'm talking about.
Dude, I went to a bar called the Regal Beagle. Stop it. It's Larry was more. He was a ladies' man. He was great. A great show. It's actually a huge compliment, Cass. Even though you look like my grandmother's drapes.
Okay. You know what? It's the beginning of. Looks like it's the beginning of spring. Hopefully, winter's gone. And I'm wearing a shirt with some flowers on it, so you guys can just get over it. And this is just another prime example of why I can't stand Joaquin Gage.
I was going to say, my God, calm down, Cass. You must really hate Gager for this. All right, so we've got some pretty big news to discuss that's just coming out. Daniel Nugent-Bowman saying a couple of things here. DNB, find DNB Sports over on Twitter. Connor McDavid didn't practice today. He's day today per Oilers coach Chris Knobloch. Would add to that potential for him to not play Wednesday versus Vegas as per Knobloch as well. Cash, your initial thoughts here on McDavid being questionable, I guess, at this point for the Golden Knights game.
Yeah, well, maybe he's nicked up a little bit. If he was closer in the Art Ross race, he probably would play. But I'm sure for Connor McDavid and for the coaching staff too, you're looking at this going like, well, if he's got some bumps and bruises and he is a little nicked up, what are you going to gain right now by overplaying him or playing him a lot? If he needs a day of rest, give him a day of rest. I mean, that's going to be the thought behind it. Hopefully, because I didn't see anything happen. I don't know if you guys.
I was trying to think. I'm trying to think what happened against Calgary. I
don't think anything. So I'm hoping it's not like a hip or a groin. Right, like because that's where my mind goes first. Is it a hip flexor issue or a groin issue? And if it is, give him the rest. Let him recover.
780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. If there is something that we're forgetting from the Calgary game that would lead you to believe that McDavid would be a little bit banged up, I was wondering. When I saw the Holloway call up, I was like, well, what's I know they've got roster room, but like from a flexibility perspective, where was he actually going to go into the lineup if they were going to get him in? And we can still have that conversation. But Gage, I'm assuming just playing it super duper safe here with 97. I mean, second place in the division, kind of locked up, not necessarily, but really good shot. You've got that. You're 5 points behind the Canucks. You have to go on a pretty good run to track them down. Play it safe, I guess, against the Golden Knights here?
I would. I mean, you got the best player on the planet. If he's a little banged up and not really required. He'll get 100 assists at some point, I think. So that's not really even a concern if you're looking at it that. And they'll all say that they're not even monitoring that at all. But that's the only thing. And their current position, Yeah, there's the outside chance that they could finish first in the division, but really, Dusty, it doesn't. You talked about it at length this morning on your show that it's pick your poison of who you're going to play in the first round. There's no easier matchups, and I alluded to it. I think that playing against the Vegas Golden Knights suits the Oilers well going into the first round of the playoffs because that's. By getting past them, that's going to make your team a lot more confident for the next, hopefully for the next 3 rounds.
Some reaction here.
One thing.
Go ahead,
One thing
Kassian.
on this. One thing on it. This is a question for you, Dusty.
Okay.
Let's give you a question.
Uh-oh.
Would you rather have first place in the division and a nicked up Connor McDavid, or would you rather have second place in the division and a healthy Connor McDavid?
Oh, second place in the division, healthy Connor McDavid. I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think about it, Cass.
There's your answer.
I don't even necessarily feel like they need first anyway. So, I mean, whatever you need, whoever needs to be healthy, second, then that's what you go with. We'll get to a few more of your messages as well. This one is in from Honest Hansel. Flu has been going around a little bit lately. You could definitely look at that. I've got a little boy at home right now who's got a little bit of a tummy flu, missed school the last couple of days. I'm sure it's that time of year coming out of the winter into spring. For all we know, I mean, I haven't seen any other updates. He could just not be feeling well. Hell, I mean, I hate to point it out on 2 guys and a goalie, but LeBron missed a game on Sunday because of the flu as well. Like it happens.
LeBron's soft though.
Oh my God!
Soft.
Listen to this guy. Voyeur,
soft.
Cass. Now people are gonna be like, remember that time Dusty told Cass to F himself? That was on 2 guys and a goalie. They hate each other. Voyager Z says McDavid's probably got an upper body injury from laughing at Perry's comments after the game to the Calgary Flames there when he's sitting on the bench. That was good. So Dylan Holloway's called up. We will see. Okay, here we go. This is more from I'm sure others are tweeting it out there, but people are passing along from Daniel Nugent-Bowman. So let's just stick with it. Knobloch says McDavid has a lower body injury. He felt some discomfort at the end of the Calgary game and didn't play the last 5 minutes. So, you know what? This does kind of make sense because I had a buddy who had McDavid over 3 assists in that game and was freaking out why he wasn't on the ice at the end of
With
the
the empty
game.
netter.
With the empty netter, he's texting me. He's like, "This is ridiculous." Actually, he's from out east. My buddy Eddie the Gambler, but he's texting into the postgame show. Like and he's from Edmonton originally, but I'm sitting here and he's been texting me all night in rage mode, and I'm watching the postgame show, and I see Tommy read a text. First time, long time. Eddie the Gambler here. Why was McDavid not on the ice? Cass, that came up. Did that not come up? Were you guys talking about it on the postgame show?
That came up, but I didn't realize he didn't play in the whole last 5 minutes.
Yeah, me neither. I thought he just wasn't out in the end.
I was like, he just wasn't out at the end. Maybe he was out right before that, and I didn't realize it had been a whole 5 minutes. So now that you say that, that makes sense. And the angry texts that we were getting about McDavid not being on the ice at the end of the game, I understand it now. I mean, didn't think it was a big deal at the time, but yeah, now that we know that he's feeling something uncomfortable, which again leads me to think hip or groin. It makes sense why he wasn't on the ice at the end of the game.
Gage, I'll go as far as I don't care if he plays again in the regular season, as long as he's good for the playoffs. Like whatever it is, got to get it right. I mean, he could if it's something that, like they said, there's a chance he plays on Wednesday, so it's probably not anything that bad. But if it's like, we don't know, play on Wednesday, you don't play him on Wednesday. If you're like, I don't know about that game against, okay, then you don't play him in that game against the Canucks. Like he could rest for 2 weeks here prior to the playoffs if you really want it. So they got some runway. I wouldn't be overly concerned. Yeah. Would you, Gager?
No, you throw him in Boba Fett's little sleeping arrangement that he goes in there, the little chamber, submerged in water, whatever. Luke's in there too some point. Just put him in there for 2 weeks. The back to tank.
Back to tank,
yeah. Throw him in the back to tank for the next 2 weeks, and then let him come back out and ready to roll.
I wouldn't be surprised if he had a back to tank. You know, the way that he recovered with the leg injury. Remember, like, this is amazing. The way he's bounced back, that would, that wouldn't even surprise me. This Texan says,
I'm surprised if he probably has one of those. The oxygen. Help me again, Cass. The oxygen tank that people can have now. We actually used one in Germany. It's the someone will tell me. It's basically pure oxygen in a pressurized. It's almost like being in an airplane. But,
so it's really good for hangovers.
It's great for hangovers, and it actually heals the body a little bit. Hypobaric chamber.
Yeah, I can't remember what they're actually called. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I can't remember what they're called.
You can get those at home too. Like there's a lot of I've seen people. I wouldn't put it past him if he doesn't have one. Maybe in his garage with the heated driveway.
Well, he's got a heated driveway. Doesn't have to shovel his snow,
that's true. Just lay out there with your leg, with your lower body, and have it.
Put some heat on it.
Yeah, put some heat on it on the driveway. That would be good. All right, it's good. I mean, obviously the inbox is blowing up here a little bit, so we'll certainly get to that. This one is in this. Calgary Glenn says that his last shift ended with
hyperbaric chamber. There you go.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. McDavid's last shift ended with 2:41 left in the third, so he did play in the last 5 minutes. Right, because you're like, I didn't think he didn't play in the last 5 minutes. He did play. I think he was on like the third or fourth shift prior to the end of the game, and then would have missed his last shift at the end of the game as well. This text is in and says, I knew he was hurt on Saturday, fell on the last power play, got up really slow. Markstrom covered the puck. Then the next shift, he didn't have the legs to push it. Last shift is always Nuge, Draisaitl, and Connor, and instead it was Janmark in his spot. So, reading into it a little bit, coming out of that game against the Calgary Flames. Sean to the inbox at 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. So, is it too late to put McDavid on the LTIR and sign a decent player? I mean, kind of funny. You can kind of laugh at that one right now. I am somewhat intrigued. I don't want to see it. I'm kind of intrigued to see what they look like against Vegas without 97. Like, what's the rest of this team got? Cass, is this not a real nice spot for some guys to step up on Wednesday night?
Yeah, absolutely. Dylan Holloway is going to get everything he ever dreamed of. And all the people that are like, he needs to play top 6 minutes and play first-line center instead of McDavid, and McDavid should play in the fourth line. All those people, because they're out there, or at least the way they talk about Holloway, it makes it seem like that's what they're saying. Hey, huge opportunity for the kid and for everybody else to step up. For Leon Draisaitl, I think there's some nasty chatters that threw that out there. For him to step up and be the guy that needs to produce and drive not just his line but the team. So yeah, I think it's be an interesting look for sure if he doesn't play, and plenty of opportunity for guys to show some playoff mettle against a really good Vegas team that is already got Hertl back and is prepping for the return of Mark Stone.
Man, for a team that has stayed so healthy the entire season, even for McDavid to be banged up and just have to miss one game, and then you get into the playoffs and you're like, is something lingering? Is something lingering here? I feel like there might be something lingering right now. That is, it's a scary proposition. Scary proposition for sure. You joke about Dylan Holloway. I know if McDavid doesn't go, there will be a spot in the top 6. He does have 10 goals in 18 games in the American Hockey League.
Yeah, but it's not going to be Holloway.
No, I know it's going to be Matthias Janmark who goes up and plays in the top 6, and Holloway plays in the 4th line, and everybody freaks out after the game. I think that's probably how it would be. Cass, do you think there's any chance they just throw Dylan Holloway into the top 6? He's coming off a hat trick in the American League. Maybe some offensive confidence. I think I'd do it. I'd do it.
I'm not saying you wouldn't do it. I'm not saying Gager wouldn't do it. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it.
You're saying the team won't do it. Yeah. Okay, that's probably fair. I don't think they would. I don't think they'd do that. So Gager, who bumps up in the top 6 if he can't go? Like, I guess Henrique they could probably just go Henrique in the middle on the second line. Put leave Nuge on the wing with Draisaitl in that situation. I mean, this is a good thing is they have a bunch of guys who they use on the wing that are also centers. So if you do get jammed into this situation, even for a one-off and hopefully a one-off against Vegas, they got some options here, right?
They've got lots of options. This is how, like, we talk about depth and are the Oilers deep enough? They are. The fact that we're trying to figure out who would be in the top 6 just goes to show you that there's a lot of people that can play those roles. Really, I think you just kind of you throw Draisaitl in between Hyman and Nuge to start. See what I don't think we've ever seen that all year. So that's kind of a little bit exciting. Henrique with maybe Kane and Fogel. And
then you could play Holloway with McLeod and Perry.
Holloway, McLeod, Perry.
There you go.
That's a pretty solid 3 lines for a team without their best player. So that's who knows? It'll be exciting. I can't wait for all the speculation all day tomorrow.
Oh my god! It's gonna be a full blown freak out tomorrow morning on the Nielsen show, and then pre and post tomorrow as well with the Oilers taking on the Golden Knights. Cass, what do you think of that? Kane, Henrique, and Fogel. And then put McLeod between Perry and Holloway.
The McLeod, Perry, Holloway, that's an interesting one because I think McLeod seems to play all right with Perry. Like he brings out a little, not that McLeod still plays with an edge with Perry, but he brings out a little bit of that in him, like a little more oomph around the net in that one. And then you get some speed in there. Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. A little bit of an interesting look, that's for sure.
I think I like Gager's idea of just putting Draisaitl up between Nuge and Hyman because that's McDavid's thing all year, right? Just let Draisaitl slide in there and see how it goes.
That'd be fun. Then when McDavid comes back, he can play in the 4th line, and Holloway can play second line center, and you can just keep Draisaitl with Hyman and Nuge. That would work.
Yeah, that would work okay. Like,
perfect.
If this team is healthy, I know there are people already calling for Holloway to be in the.
Is Dusty still?
What's that, Gager?
Is everybody frozen?
No, we're good. Even you're still moving, Gager.
Dusty's gone, Cass. I think I don't.
Not to me.
No, I'm still here.
No, can you hear him?
Yeah, everything's fine, Gager. Maybe Gager just reconnect.
I'll reconnect.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. Gager's just like, Dusty's gone, and Cass and I are sitting here like, no, everything's fine.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, we'll have Gager reconnected here. Cass, if this team is healthy, and that's like McDavid and everybody else, Dylan Holloway doesn't factor in here come playoff time, does he? I know people want him to. Do you think he does?
Not.
Do you think there's
Probably
a chance?
Not.
Like,
no.
I just don't think I don't think they're taking Kane, Janmark, whether you love him or whatever. He kills penalties. He does things. The production's probably not where you would like it to be, but he's a 4th liner. So I don't think you're taking anybody out on the left side. So I just don't know.
No,
and you're not
definitely
throwing
not.
him in the middle in a playoff situation. So there's just, I think next year he becomes a much bigger part of the team, but I just don't know where he would fit right now. Nothing against the player. I know he's been great in the American League, but
No.
I don't know. I don't think there's room on a contender right now for him.
No, I mean, that's why he was in the AHL, was because there's not room right now. So, I mean,
He wasn't in the American League to be like, let's get him going, and then put him into the lineup. Right? I don't think that would have been their approach.
No, he was fine in the NHL. There was too many bodies. You could send him down, and he could play down there, or he could sit in the press box here, and you want him playing. So you send him down. So no, I don't think he factors. Now the caveat to that is if there is an injury, he could factor in. But if they're healthy, like you mentioned, all things assuming they're healthy, no, he's not going to. No, not going to happen.
Gager, you have me?
Yeah, I got you now. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
That was weird.
That was strange.
No, I don't think he factors in at this point. Look, Holloway's he's had a rough ride of his pro career so far with injuries. I still feel he's not I think there's something there with the player for sure, but because he's had so much time away with injuries and not getting the proper progression and to build his game to the NHL level, we've seen definitely spurts of what he can accomplish, but yeah, it's not his time quite yet.
All right, so light a candle, say a prayer, do whatever it is for Connor McDavid to be healthy, and we will report back on Two Guys and a Goalie on Thursday to see if he plays on Wednesday night, what he looks like. I hope they don't push him down the stretch for trying to track down the Canucks or an Art Ross, because it just, there's really not much hanging out here right now, Cass. There's not a lot on the line that a team without Connor McDavid can't win a couple of games and lock up second. I mean, simple as that.
Nope. And I mean, it just goes to the question that I asked you that you answered quickly.
Yeah.
It should have been your answer, and it should have been a quick answer is, first in a banged up McDavid or second in a healthy McDavid heading to the playoffs. You're taking a second in a healthy McDavid all day. So if you need to sit him for a week and a half here, you sit him for a week and a half. Let him get as healthy as he can to enter into the playoffs, because I'm not worried about Connor McDavid and his level of rust. There's one thing that doesn't concern me at all, but having a lower body injury that's nagging that you have to push through all of a sudden in the playoffs because you pushed it too much at the end of the season when you had time to recover just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Ontario Momes is in and says, it's literally one game. Why wouldn't you put him in for one game just to see, playoffs have an option of Dylan Holloway potentially being a stopgap higher up in the lineup? I mean, I got some time for that argument. If it's just one game, give the guy a game. Now, it's a tough game against Vegas. I mean, okay, but Cass, would you? Like you said, I would. You said Gager would. We think Knobloch won't. But would you just sort of slot Holloway in on the wing with Henrique and Kane or something like that?
I'd put him on the wing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have him play center in the top six. Now, to give him a look in the wing in the top six, sure. Yeah, I'd give that a look. Not center. Not playing center.
No, I don't think you put him at center.
No.
All right, let's get to some other things coming out. A big game against Colorado on Friday. Obviously, a game against Calgary that they ended up getting the 2 points. McDavid didn't leave the game, but didn't finish the game in his regular fashion. Has missed practice the 2 days and is now listed as day-to-day with a lower body injury. Questionable at this point for the game against Vegas. The other storyline coming out of the game against Calgary that I haven't spoken to both of you guys about yet, Kane and Perry, they addressed things in the media yesterday. Gager, we talked about it a little bit this morning. Cass, I am curious for your thoughts here on obviously a very fired up Corey Perry going out of Vander Kane a little bit, and the way that they handled it yesterday.
Guys fight all the time and get into it all the time. You just usually don't hear about it or usually don't see it. Usually it's a practice. Usually it's in the room. It happens all the time. Now Perry's a fiery guy. I would assume, it's not like we watched him all the time when he was with Chicago or with Anaheim, but or Tampa. I would assume that this has happened with him before. So I'm not reading too much into it. I don't think it means, people are quick to jump on Evander Kane to say, he's horrible, awful, all this stuff, cancer in the room and blowing everything up. I think it's still too harsh to say that.
Yeah, I thought the only reason it was a talking point is because we saw Draisaitl frustrated with him a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right. Like, just obviously his, and they pointed out on both broadcasts of the play that he made that probably pissed off Perry, and the positioning issue that Draisaitl was not happy about. So I could see maybe they're just a little frustrated that maybe mentally he's not where he needs to be for the team right now.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
yeah, possibly.
That could be it.
Yeah. Just you're trying to get everyone on the same page. Right.
And he hasn't been very good the last month and a half.
Yeah. Well, that too. Right. He's got those 2 goals against Colorado, and that's about it in a long time. So
there's
trying to get him going.
2 spots during, like, I'm looking back at very crucial moments, and I remember when it was a little bit to a lesser extent, but when Seabrook went to talk to Jonathan Toews after taking a penalty,
the meltdown in the penalty box,
and he's like yelling at him, right? And that was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? That's a huge moment, but you could see that's something needed to be done. That's a strong leadership group. Another one, I don't think too many people are familiar with it, but there was a time when Jeff Carter was talking to Drew Doughty, and you could see visibly F-bombs back and forth. And this was like game 6 of the conference final, right? The guys fight. And for Corey Perry to come in, I mean, there's to a late in the season established dressing room. It's tough to kind of be the biggest swinging Richard in the dressing room at that point. But now, I mean, Corey Perry he's playoff Cialis, Dusty. This guy, it's time to get hard because it's going to get very difficult over the next little bit, and that's why you got him here.
Big swinging Richard, playoff Cialis. It's time to get hard. That sounds like a slogan that EST could adopt in the playoffs. Playoff Cialis. It's time to get hard. Yeah, that's actually pretty amusing, Gage. I think that's pretty funny. Hey, Cass, I thought with how fired up Perry was, I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of times he talked to Kane about a similar play. Because, like, to get fired up that much one time, I'm like, it was like a Serenity Now thing where you're like, hey, man, in this situation, make this play. In this situation, make this play. And then, like, the third time he does, he's like, what are you doing? How many times have I told you? Like, I think it was probably a little bit of a buildup that finally was just like, okay,
well, it's just
enough.
It's just like with your kids. You tell them, ask them to do something 5 times, and they don't do it. And then the 6th time, you get upset, and then they're like, "Why are you mad at me?" And you're just like, well,
like only a father would know that. Why are you yelling?
Yeah,
why are you yelling at me? Well, because I asked you 8 times and you didn't listen any of the 8 times. So now, I'm a little frustrated because you did. Again, that's just it. Again, where I'm just like, I think it's, and I think even, seeing Corey Perry going down the tunnel, like where he knew he was fired up immediately, and he tried to give himself a 10-second timeout just to be like, I gotta calm down here for a second, and then still go back and still be upset. But like where it's just it was in the moment thing to me. I don't think, and maybe a buildup of a few things, but I don't think that's not like a hey, you have a guy addressing another guy because he's being a jerk in the room.
Yeah.
He's being a big Richard, swinging the big Richard around the room.
Swinging Richard around the room.
Right? Like, it's not that. It's no, this is the moment. This is the play. Maybe we've talked about this before. You haven't been doing what you need to do. And so I'm upset about this. So I don't know. I don't want to read into it too much.
It's funny with the kids reference because Marshall likes to play NHL 24, so he's been playing quite a bit. We don't want to give him too much screen time. So he's playing a game the other day. I said, hey, after this game, you can shut her down. And he goes, yeah, I will, Daddy. So he finishes the game, and then he kind of sits there and looks at me for a bit and is like trying to wait for me to be like, okay, you can play one more. I'm like, no, shut it down. He goes, okay, I'm just going to look at the replay here. And I was just like, I said, hey, man, we don't have time, like no replays. And then he scrolled backwards at a pretty good pace through the entire game. And I'm sitting there behind him like I was watching. I'm like, all right. And he's a very well-behaved kid. Like, he's a little sweetheart. But he was just so desperately waiting for me to be like, you can play one more. I said, hey, I thought I said no replays. He goes, oh yeah, you did, didn't you? Okay, yeah, I'll shut this down. I'll shut this down. I was like, yes, shut it down. What are you doing? Like, listen to me. But he knows how to play me a little bit. It's good. Gage, and that whole reaction, Stuart Skinner's just sort of like up against the wall. Did you have what? Do you remember any awkward moments sitting on the bench during your career? We're like, what the hell is going on over here right now?
Sometimes coaches more so when they get fiery with a player and things like that. That's really uncomfortable. Like, you go, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to step into this thing.
I got a story after you're done here. Yeah.
It happens lots. One, if anyone remembers Steve Kelly, Stevie was tough.
Cop in Calgary now. Yeah, he was. I played with him in Houston. Awesome guy.
Awesome guy. And Donnie Clark, God rest his soul, brother of Wendell. He passed away a few years ago, but Donnie was yelling at Stevie. Stevie was 17. And Stevie was looking at him and telling him, F you, I don't care who you are, I will kill you. And I'm like, oh my God, is this 17-year-old going to fight Wendell Clark's brother? It was unbelievable. And I was just like, I was fading back. I was Stuart Skinner 1,000 years ago.
So mine was actually one of the best ones. This was my first practice as a member of the Ottawa Senators, right after I got traded. So first practice, Chris Neal, who had a little bit of a temper, he was getting into it with the goaltending coach, Rick Wamsley, in the dressing room. Rick said something. I don't remember what Rick said, but Nealer didn't like it. And so you're just kind of watching. You're kind of like, oh, like, he's going to talk to a coach like that, and the coach is going to talk to him like that. Like, what's kind of like, okay, like this is interesting. And usually I'm one of the first guys on the ice. Usually I was on the ice with the goalies doing shooting stuff. Now, the goalies had been out there with just Wamsley, like just him. They didn't need any extra players, but he was doing some work with. We had 3 goalies at the time, so it was Craig Anderson, Robin Leonard, and Ben Bishop, and so they were all out there. And so I step on the ice. I'm like the second or third guy on the ice. Do 1 or 2 laps, and I'm doing laps around, and everyone starts doing the skating around. So the goalies finish, and everyone starts skating around. And Wamsley was still in the corner, like with where the pucks were, because they've been doing the goalie drills down there. But at this time, most people are on the ice, and everyone's just kind of doing laps, waiting for practice to start. And all of a sudden, I'm skating down, and all of a sudden, Chris Neal takes a run at Rick Wamsley, hits him.
He hit him.
And we're not talking.
He didn't just stop in front of him. He hit him.
No, he hit him, and I was just like, "What is happening right now?" Like, trying to figure. My first practice of this team, like, you got a guy running one of the coaches, and like, it wasn't. He didn't like lay him out. It's not like he didn't hit through him, but like he bumped him pretty solid. Like, and Wamsley like back up against the glass, and feet kind of kicking out underneath him, and I was just like, "What?" And nothing ever came from it after that. But I was just like, wow, what is going on? It was one of the same thing where you're just like, just staring, being like, what say or do? Like, am I gonna have to
your very first practice?
First practice on a new team is just bizarre. But that stuff happens. Like, it happens. It's not completely foreign in dressing rooms. It's like and I think I said this to Tommy in the post-game show, and Gage, you could verify it. It's like, if you take like normal office culture, like where people, sometimes people get into spats and they get frustrated with another, and it's just like you amplify it, like basically, or if you grew up with brothers and you have brothers and you were kids, it's like, every once in a while you're going to get into it, and hopefully you move on 5 minutes later. There's an epic story we tell about my mom when I got into a fight with one of my brothers, and we don't let her forget this ever. And it apparently broke my mom's heart. Like, she was just a mess because we got in a fight, and it was like we had a pretty good rule. Like, none of us ever, like, I feel like you kind of develop as brothers those like unspoken rules. Like, if you ever get into it, and ours was like no punches to the face. It was like body shots were full game. And so we got into it. I think it was over a board game, my older brother and I. And so my mom, has us sitting down at the table, and she's just bawling already at this point, like just sobbing because we got into this fight, and she probably didn't know what to do. And she gets 2 knives, and she walks to the table, slams the 2 knives down at the table, and just through sobbing tears was like, if you just hate each other so much, why don't you just take these knives and just hack at each other with these knives? And at this point, I mean, it's already like 5 minutes past or 10 minutes past. Like, we've been sitting there for a little while. So it's like the tempers are cool. Like, we have moved on completely emotionally at this point. We're like, are you good? Yeah. Are you good? Good. Yeah. Are you sorry? Yeah. Are you sorry? Yeah, I'm sorry. Like everyone, like we had completely moved on at this point. And so we just look at each other and just start absolutely howling, like, just because it was so comical to us. We're like, yeah, we've moved on already. Like, we're fine. There's no issue here. Like, we're good. And anyways, that's one of those Kassian household stories that gets told all the time, just down in lore. But like, guys, sometimes you fight. Sometimes guys fight. You get into it. You verbally sometimes say things you shouldn't, and sometimes you got to apologize. And it's the same thing in a dressing room. Same thing on the bench. Sometimes you get into it. Sometimes you say things you shouldn't. You have to apologize. You have to move on. You have to make sure everyone's pulling the cart in the same direction. And as I said on the pre and post game show a number of times, you don't got to love each other to the point where you're best friends hanging out, giving each other hugs all the time. You got to be both willing to do what you need to pull the cart in the same direction. And in some instances, it's very much, and you've seen this where, and I've had it, I've had this happen again. Sorry to keep telling stories, but I went at our goaltender in the minors once because I didn't feel he was, it was Anton Khobodin, the Alfredo genie himself. And, I felt like he wasn't trying, like he would never go down when I was shooting. And I was like in practice, and I'm like starting to get frustrated because I'm like, I'm trying to work on stuff here too. And so I started ripping them at his head, like head high. Probably shouldn't have done that, but I did. And so he shot a puck at me while I was in the corner, like in the drill. So I went after him. And because we both, whatever. But it's like, if the very next game, so you have an issue, you have conflict, both parties had some fault in it. If the next game someone would have ran him, guess what I would have done? I wouldn't have been like, oh yeah, he can suck it and take it. It's like, no, I'm going to jump the guy and do what I have to do to stick up for my teammate. And that's the resolution at the end has to be that both guys, Perry and Kane, if the other were to get hit from behind, still have to be willing to jump in and still have to be willing to do what they need to take the team where it needs to go. You don't got to be best friends. You don't got to hang out. You don't got to express undying gratitude towards one another to the media, but you have to be willing to play the game the right way for your teammates in order to win a hockey game, win a series, win a cup. That's what you need. So I don't know. I'm not making a huge deal out of it, but I know some people are.
We found out today here on Two Guys Ago that Connor McDavid is day to day with a lower body issue. But the most stunning thing I heard today was your mom encouraging a knife fight between you and your brother. I don't know. We've been doing Two Guys and a Goalie for 4.5 years. I don't know how we just heard this story for the very first time. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
It's a funny one. She'd probably be really embarrassed. So
if you guys hate each other so much.
Hopefully my dad's not watching.
That's great.
Hopefully my dad's not watching.
Oh, man,
he'd be laughing too now at this.
Yeah. Oh, of course you laugh now, right? It's you laugh now. It's like when my parents used to threaten to throw my sister out of the truck because she was such a brat. We'd be going full down the road, and my mom would have her hanging out the window halfway and be like, "I'll drop you!" And I was like, "No, don't drop her." But can you imagine going on the Henday now and seeing me hanging Marshall out the side of the car? Like, that just doesn't fly anymore, man.
No, it doesn't.
God,
that's funny.
Things were different. All right, let's get to your keyword. Then we'll dive into some other things here, both on the Oilers and around the league. Your keyword for the EST flyaway to Vegas here on Two Guys and the Goalie today. All you have to do is text this word to 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. We've teamed up with Fly YEG and the LVCVA to give away this trip. It is 2 nonstop flights, 3 nights accommodations, tickets to a Cirque show, flexible booking, so you have about 2 months to figure out when you want to go, and then you can book at any point in the calendar year after you end up winning this trip. Grand prize will be given away at the end of this month. Your nonstop, your sports trip starts with a nonstop flight from FlyYG. Visit flyyg.com. Today's keyword on Two Guys and a Goalie is lights. Lights. Lights, as in lights out and away we go. Lights is the keyword today. 780-218-9999. LIGHTS. Text that in. We'll give a winner a call here in about, or a qualifier, I should say, a call in about 10 minutes time. Okay, so we were asking this coming out of the the theory of Draisaitl and Perry and everybody trying to get Kane going because they need him in the playoffs to have success. Gager, let me throw this to you first. How much do they need Evander Kane to be the Evander Kane that we've seen at his peak here in Edmonton if they're going to go on and win it all?
They need him to be the Evander Kane that we saw last year, first round against the Kings. That's who you need him to be. A pest, finishing checks, hard to play against, and contributing offensively. He made it very difficult on the defensemen of the other team, where they were, by games 4 or 5, that's when, when he's on the ice, they're hearing footsteps, right? When they're going back to get the puck. That's the player he has to be. I think we'll see it. I just, like I said it this morning, when you get into those situations, the 7-game series, the hatred, the mean-ons that you start developing towards the other team and wanting to inflict pain on them just grows exponentially. So I think once Evander Kane gets into lack of a better term, playoff mode, I think we'll see a much more engaged Evander Kane playing the right way than kind of what we've seen for the last 2 months.
Cass,
I sure hope so.
Yeah, is he not a guy who could change a series with 3 or 4 key moments, right?
Yeah. Absolutely he could. Absolutely he could. He could be the difference. He has the potential to be the difference in a series with his play. I hope it's not and it's possible that it's like a switch flips, but I hope he builds into it. I want to see that before the playoffs.
Strong finish here, yeah.
A strong finish for him here. I want to see that. That would be ideal. Now, is the potential that the switch flips? Yeah, there is. But I even as to what Gager says, some of that emotion can take time to build. And I hope for him, he brings it day one. He's ready to go with that type of emotion and that style of play where he can be a difference maker just from the first drop of the puck of the first game of the first series.
Little carryover conversation from the Nielsen show this morning on this one, along the lines of, it was Craig Button this morning who said they're going to need Darnell Nurse to be at the top of his game if they want to go on and win a Stanley Cup as well. So I'll just throw this out. They're taking McDavid and Draisaitl and Ekholm and Skinner and Hyman out of the conversation. You're going to have Skinner. You expect Hyman, Draisaitl, McDavid, and Ekholm to bring it. Of these other guys, of these 4 guys here, who do you think's top-end play needs to be delivered the most for this team to win a Stanley Cup? Nuge, Kane, Nurse, and Bouchard. Nurse?
Darnell Nurse.
Yeah.
Darnell Nurse, without question. Bouchard's going to be fine because he's paired with Ekholm.
And he's on the power play, and he's going to do what he does.
Yeah, he's going to do what he does. But Darnell Nurse is running another pair, and there's going to be some tough matchups there. You need Darnell Nurse. Yeah, he's the of that list. I mean, you didn't even have to finish a list for me. I'd go Darnell Nurse all day.
Gager, has it got to be Nurse here?
Yeah, he has to be the guy that plays above and beyond where he normally is. Well, to get to where they want to be, he's got to be a special player.
Okay,
this whole
so
he's capable of it. I think he's capable of it, but yeah, it's Darnell Nurse by a long shot.
I think on the Twitter poll today, Nurse was 75-80%. So let's eliminate him from that. Nuge or Kane? Who do you need?
Kane.
Yeah, you're going to go with Kane, Cass?
Yeah, because for the aforementioned reason, Nuge is going to play most likely with either Draisaitl or McDavid, and probably going to be fine. Probably going to have a good series. Hopefully, have a good series. But to me, Kane, especially if they're getting that third line matchup, he has a difference. He has a potential to be a difference maker. I don't look at Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and go, oh, he needs to be a difference maker in the playoffs in the series. He needs to have a good playoffs. He needs to be really good. just like everybody needs to be really good in order to win, but to potential difference-making capacity, stylistically with how they play, physically with how Evander Kane plays, it is absolutely him between the two of them.
Yeah, you know what you're going to get from Nuge. I think like it's going to be solid play. It's the X factor of Kane that we've seen in the past that needs to come to the forefront.
TSN's final power rankings of the regular season, the Edmonton Oilers, the number 2 best team in the National Hockey League behind just the Dallas Stars. And, of course, we saw them go to head-to-head last Wednesday. Dallas Stars, number 1 on those power rankings. The Edmonton Oilers, number 2. So those outside of the market here with high expectations for the Oilers heading into the playoffs. Speaking of high expectations, as we move away from the Oil here for a bit to end, Landon Dupont gets exceptional status as a young defenseman. A 14-year-old playing U18 this year had 62 points in 30 games, something like 16 points in 5 playoff games. And I just had to keep checking to make sure he was playing U18 as a 14-year-old and putting up those numbers. And he has been. He's got the exceptional status. We saw it with Connor Bedard. Cass, as a defenseman stepping into the Western Hockey League at the age of 15, what are reasonable expectations for this? And I guess if you're dominating U18 levels when you're 14, you should be able to keep your head above water. But your thoughts on this decision for the Dupont kid?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big step up. Obviously, you gotta do something exceptional in order to get exceptional status, and he's done it thus far. I mean, it's going to be a challenge as a defenseman. I mean, there's not a ton of 16-year-olds that make that jump, that play a lot at 16.
At 16,
let alone at 15. So pretty unbelievable. I mean, we'll obviously have to wait and see. I guess my fear would be that it is a year too early. That physically just developing. You have potential to get hit a lot more as a defenseman than a forward. With that being said, it's not nearly as physical as a league as it used to be. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. But yeah, could be interesting.
He's 5'11", 170 at 14. So I mean, he's gonna continue to grow over the next 3-4 years. So I'll be interested to see how he looks when he's 17 years old in the Western Hockey League. But Gager, what do you think of this young guy? His numbers have been out.
He's not going to be that tall. His dad. I played against his dad.
Yeah, Mickey was a little guy, right?
Yeah, and Mickey played in for the Ice Bear in Berlin. He was a really good player. I mean, Fiddler's son. His name escapes me for the Oil Kings. He's 16, but he's also a beast, right? But you saw how his progression was. But that's a little bit older. Hopefully they do it right and let him kind of learn the league. And like Cass said, it's not like when we played in the Western League. It was a little bit rougher when we were in that league. But I'm excited to see it. It's cool to see a defenseman to get exceptional status. Like what that's even more impressive to me, because usually in the Western League, there's barely any 16-year-old defensemen playing.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I worry about. Is you mentioned it, Kat. So one more year, is it a year too? What's wrong with him dominating against 18-year-olds for one more year?
As a 15-year-old, right? Like, yeah,
that doesn't. That gives me a little bit of pause, because he's going to be, now up against guys who have been drafted, much bigger in stature, battling against them in front of the net. This is a whole different world, not just on the offensive side, but the defensive side. But we'll see.
He's the second WHL player to get it behind Connor Bedard. Obviously, Bedard ended up being more than exceptional, and just the third defenseman to get it. Aaron Ekblad got it, and I believe Sean.
And I was trying to think.
Sean Day. Sean Day was the other one. So, I mean, it goes one of two ways. But I watched. I went and watched some of his highlights from U18. I even tracked down his his overtime winner from the Brick tournament in 2019. So, and you know what it was, which is pretty impressive for the Brick for that age level. But it was a clapper, a one-timer from the left point that he fired home, which was pretty impressive. So best of luck to this kid. Before I let you guys go, and we'll call a qualifier here right away, feel for this game against the Golden Knights, Gager. If there's no Connor McDavid, what type of Oilers do you think show up?
We're going to get I think just with the maturity that they've shown, this is a rallying point for the Oilers. I think this is going to be a hard game. This will be a preview to possibly what's going to be coming in the next few weeks with the Vegas Golden Knights. On the other side, Hertl's in the lineup. They're starting to get healthy. This is going to be a very, very interesting game, especially the fact that we're going to see some line combinations that essentially we have not seen.
Which is hard to believe with how many we've seen, isn't it?
yeah, which is weird. It's crazy.
Unbelievable. There's more.
It's exciting. Yeah. It's exciting.
Cass, how much are you going to read into this game against the Golden Knights one way or the other?
Oh, I think I'm going to read into it. I just want to see the compete level without McDavid. I want to see the compete level go up. And you could play well and you could lose this hockey game, but I want them to compete this game. I don't know if I'm going to read into it too much beyond that, but I want to see it be a rallying cry, like Gager said, and we see that happen sometimes when the Oilers play other teams where their best player out or a top guy's out, and it's just like the whole team knows it, and so the whole team raises their game, and I want to see that happen.
You guys have a good couple of days. I'll chat with you on Thursday, and we'll have a major story to break down one way or the other after the Oilers and Golden Knights. We'll talk to you then.
Later.
There you go. There's a couple of big swinging Richards wrapping up the two guys and a goalie today. I like this from Wilson, the volleyball over on the Nasty Chat. DuPont looks like he could be Bouchard's adult son. That's a nice way to describe it. Kid looks insanely talented. Of course, if you're going to play at that next level when you're 15 years old, you have to be a hell of a skater, which is exactly what he was. But if I remember the book on Sean Day, he was a hell of a skater as well, and that was one of the reasons that he ended up getting the elevated status. I don't even remember what happened today. So, yeah, we'll get into that. All right, we are going to have a qualifier coming up for the EST flyaway. Zacticum getting on that right now. And we'll get to a few more of your messages before we wrap up. Final chance to qualify here on Edmonton Sports Talk today. Nielsen Show replay coming out. We had a fun show today. I think you're going to like it. Numbers have actually been pretty good on the radio stream for the replay. So that's coming up here. We've got our final qualifier. Next chance to qualify be tomorrow morning on the Nielsen Show. Jam-packed Nielsen Show tomorrow. We're going to have Jamie McLennan. We're going to have Justin Ray help us start to set up the Masters as well. Macromal will be by. Wyshynski will be by. Orange and Blue breakfast to get you ready. Tales of the North as well. And obviously, full-blown McDavid panic tomorrow morning on the Nielsen Show as well. Zacticum, who's our qualifier on two guys today?
Big Mike from the Grove.
All right, Big Mike from the Grove. Let's go to Big Mike. Big Mike, congratulations, buddy.
Oh, thanks so much, Dusty. I'm super excited. I never thought I'd get in.
Oh, here you are. You're in. It's your lucky day. Now, is Big Mike one of those ironic names? Are you actually big, or are you just a little guy, but they call you Big Mike to be funny?
No, I was a real big dude in high school.
Okay. So you were Big Mike legitimately. Who'd you bring with you, Big Mike?
Legitimate. Oh, my wife, definitely. The wife.
Oh, taking your wife. Have you guys been to Vegas together?
Never.
Oh.
We've never been apart either. It's one of the trips we want to go on. We're really excited.
Holy
so
smokes.
Waiting for our opportunity.
All right. Well, Big Mike and the wife, you're one step closer to winning this thing. Good luck.
Right on. Thanks, Dusty.
All right. There you go. Man, does Big Mike seem like a nice guy or what?
Yeah, he was super happy. I asked him how his day was, and he said, I'm doing good. And then I said, I'm Zach from Edmonton Sports Talk. Now I'm qualifying you. And he said, now my day's fantastic.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
doing fabulous. So
This guy's so happy.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Big Mike. And you can be a Big Mike, too. You really can. Just make sure you're listening all day, every day, right here. Yeah, even to just 6 to 1. That'll get the job done for you to qualify. And Hello Hockey on Saturdays. Big show for you tomorrow morning on the Nielsen Show. Tell your friends about Edmonton Sports Talk, what we're building. Always free to listen to. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Nielsen Show replay coming up on the online stream. We'll talk to you tomorrow.